Ow, those nails though. Girl, that was painful. Let's stick to the sweater. Oh, and she's going. And she's going. Going, and she's gone. Okay. Welcome back to Alyssa's Lizards. If you are new here, I'm Alyssa, and this big girl is my baby Nilla. She is my northern blue-tongued skink. She is my biggest baby, so she deserves the biggest enclosure that I have so far, which is a 4 foot long by 2 feet deep by 18-inch tall enclosure. So that enclosure is going to be fully bioactive. And what I mean by that is that the soil is going to be full of different nutrients and microorganisms, bugs, and things like that that act as a cleanup crew. And they just kind of help keep the environment really clean, help avoid any mold or any issues that could, arise like that. And it also helps a little bit just with their waste. However, that is not an excuse to not spot clean your enclosure or fully clean it every couple months or so. That is something that you definitely have to do, especially with a big girl like this, because they poop a lot. So that is something you definitely still have to do, but bioactive enclosures are a really good naturalistic way to keep your animals. It's something that I've noticed my animals thrive in. This will be my 8th enclosure out of 12 that are bioactive. So it's definitely something I really love to do. They seem to thrive in it and love it. So it's something I plan to continue doing, and I will probably make some more videos in the future about it. Bioactivity and why I recommend it and what makes it so great. So that is something we will talk about at a later date. But for today, we are going to focus on my little Nilla babe right here. You can see her blue tongue. It's so cute if she'll do it. Now she's of course not doing it. That's fine. It's okay. But so let's get to it. So I will be showing you today the enclosure itself, the products I used, how I set it up, and why, pertaining to her specific care requirements and also just her personality and things that I know that she likes and her behavior. So that's something we'll talk about a little bit as well. And we will walk you through all the steps of how to create a bioactive blue-tongue skink enclosure. So let's get to it and I will show you how. So here is her 4 feet long by 2 feet wide by 18-inch tall melamine enclosure. So melamine is a type of wood. It is something that a lot of keepers use just for different animals. It is not something that is great for species that require high humidity. So definitely stay away from high humidity animals in a melamine enclosure. And the reason for that is it is a type of wood, so it can warp and change shape based on the water and moisture in the air of that enclosure. But it is great for something like a northern blue-tongued skink like Nilla because they require humidity levels of 40% or lower. So it definitely is easy to keep them in and it makes a great safe enclosure for them. So just to start out, I used the Bioactive Terra Firma substrate. That is a really great substrate to use. I use it for almost all of my snakes enclosures. They really thrive in it. It's something that's great to use, and it also doesn't require a drainage layer. So I'll speak about this in later bioactive videos, but bioactive enclosures usually do require a drainage layer to keep that moisture down below. But this substrate does not require that because it is a mixture of different types of soil, and it does create air pockets within the layer of substrate that help maintain that moisture, and it also helps maintain the springtail cultures that you will be putting into it. So it's a really great substrate. I cannot recommend the Biodude enough. He has wonderful reptile supplies, bioactive supplies, and lots of things that you may need as a reptile keeper. So I used that substrate here. I used that Terra Firma substrate. It is a great substrate for larger body skinks or snakes, things like that. So it's a really great substrate to use. You can mix it up with different types of soil or different types of things. If you are looking for a different texture or something that's going to keep the humidity even higher, you can mix it with things like cocoa fiber, eco earth, things like that, just based on what you need for your animal. So that is the substrate that I used. I then placed the BioDude's BioShot in that soil and mixed it all up. And the reason I did that is because the BioDude's BioShot includes a lot of nutrients and just microorganisms, things like that, that really just help the soil to be really full of nutrients for those springtail and isopod cultures that you want to use. So after I mixed all of that in there, I did go ahead and put in these springtails. You can get those from the BioDude or Josh's Frogs as well. I've ordered from both, and both have them wonderful springtail cultures. You can also order isopod cultures from them as well. What isopods are, they are basically the roly-polies you used to play with as a kid, except they have all different kinds of colors, different types, things like that. Some people keep them as pets, so it is something that different people do different things with. I mainly use them to help just keep my enclosures natural and free of waste and mold and things like that, but they are a fun species. So after I put in the springtails and isopods, I mix those in there. I let them sit for a couple of days so that they kind of started to cultivate and grow within that enclosure. Basically, what that means is that you have to make sure that the soil just starts to thrive and that those microorganisms do start to reproduce so that they can fully clean and work through that enclosure. So that I mix those up and I let those kind of cultivate for a couple days in here. And then I placed a layer of leaf litter. So those are going to be just the little broken up bits of leaves and things across the top. So that's just something that the microorganisms, springtails, all that, they can munch on that leaf litter. It also just creates a nice layer on top of things and just a different texture for the animal, just to, again, create a naturalistic environment. So after I did that, it was time to decorate. So I was very particular about the way that I wanted to decorate for her enclosure. And the reason I am is because I know her behavior, I know the way she acts and the things that she likes to do. So the main thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that this little turtle hide in the back enclosure over there, you can see her little head poking out of it right now. She loves to use that as her humid hide and also just her warm hide over on the warm side of the enclosure. And she can also lay on top of it. She loves to lay on top of it and bask on it. And the reason being is that her light bulb is right over there, kind of not fully on top of it, but near it. So that the top of that hide does get pretty warm. I make sure that using a temp gun, the temperature does stay the temperature that she needs. And when I do that, that basically means that she gets belly heat, so she's able to fully digest her food. So it's definitely something that I love doing. I've had that in almost all of her enclosures, and she's always really liked it. So that is over there. And then her favorite hide right here is her rock hide. So that is where she sleeps every night. It is her favorite place to be. I can almost always find her in there or in the turtle hide. Those are the two places I can always find her. So that is, I set that over here because I know that she likes to sleep in it. So it is her cool hide. She always likes to go over to the cool side at night. Pretty much the temperature in the enclosure is the same throughout the day or throughout the night, but because the lights are off at night, but I did just want to keep that over on the cool side for her. I also have this big piece of wood. I will actually pull that out, let you see that. This is new. I got this for this enclosure. So this is just a big hunk of driftwood that I found at my local reptile store. And it's a really good piece. I've actually been seeing her climb on it the last couple days that she's been in it. So it's definitely been something she likes to climb around on. And it sort of functions as another hide because she can kind of get under this part of it. So it's definitely something she's been enjoying exploring. I will just get that put right back into place in there. So there we go. So I also, you may notice that while this is a bioactive enclosure, it does not have live plants. That's very unusual. So the majority of bioactive enclosures do include live plants, and that is a big part of bioactivity. So that's something that you do want in most bioactive enclosures. The reason I don't put them in here, again, because I know her behavior and I know how she thinks and how she functions. She is a burrower. So this is about 3 inches of substrate. So she is able to dig down underneath it and burrow deep down. And she does like to do that under her hides quite a bit. So when she burrows, she digs up plants. I have tried this before and it does not work. She also tramples them. I'm honestly shocked that these two plants are standing right now because she usually just knocks them over and they lay flat. So she is a little bit of a bulldozer, so I definitely don't want to give her any live plants. It's really not entirely necessary, but it is something that a lot of keepers do, and it is something that is really good for blue-tongued skinks because in their diet they do require a good amount of vegetation and vegetables. So it is something that you can put in there. There are quite a bit of different plants that they can eat. So if you want to put them in there as an extra little snack that are healthy for them, you're welcome to do so. I will link a list of blue-tongued skink edible plants and edible vegetables in my description below, so look out for that. But so for now, I just have these two fake plants in here. They've been in a couple of her enclosures and she really likes to bulldoze them, so they're great for her. I also, over here on the other side, I have her water dish, so she knows right where that is. She's always stayed really hydrated, so it's great over there. I also, right here in the middle, you may notice that I have this brick. It's not necessarily brick, but it is just a type of stone. And the reason I put that in there is because blue-tongued skinks' nails can get very long and very sharp. So that's something that naturally you want to make sure that you are providing something inside their enclosure that can help naturally wear those nails down. So that's something I keep in there. She does like to bask on it as well. It does heat up a little bit under her light, which is why I place it over there near the light. But she does run around on it and scratches her nails so they just kind of naturally file down. So it's definitely something that's good to have, making sure that you just have some kind of slightly rough substrate that she can not only wear her nails down on naturally, but that can also help with shedding whenever they are in shed. So that's just a little tip I love to use with them. So that is it for her enclosure. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As I mentioned several times, I will have more videos in the future about bioactivity. It's something that I can't recommend more. There are definitely pros and cons to it, as there are with anything, but it is something that my animals really thrive in and I really love to do to provide them as much of a natural environment as possible. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to the next video and I will see you next time. Bye.